I remember exactly how the fear began, creeping like a cold fog through every crack in our small house. It was the middle of the night, and the wind howled outside like a hungry animal. Beside me, Hansel breathed softly, and I pressed close to him, but the muffled murmur from the kitchen seeped through the walls.
There isn't enough to keep us all alive. We must take them into the forest.
My stepmother's voice said coldly. My breath caught, and I tried not to sob. The next morning, our father led us into the forest. Hansel walked silently beside me, dropping small, shimmering pebbles behind us. The trees closed in tighter around us, their trunks black and threatening like sentinels. The sky was only a distant gray flicker above. Eventually, our father left us alone. I felt as though we'd been cast into darkness. But thanks to Hansel's plan, we found our way back home. The pebbles sparkled under the moonlight, guiding us like tiny stars through the night. Every step was filled with dread, but we kept moving. And when we finally saw our house, relief washed over us. Little did we know the worst was yet to come. They took us into the forest a second time, but this time we were truly lost. Hansel's breadcrumbs had been eaten by birds. We wandered through the thicket for days, hungry and exhausted. Each night we lay close together, but the darkness was so thick it seemed ready to smother us. The cold seeped into our bones, and I began to believe we would never find our way out. The forest is relentless, and every rustle, every shadow, felt like it could be our end. Fear gnawed at our hearts as we stumbled through the endless maze of trees. We were trapped in a nightmare, and the only thing we could do was keep moving, hoping against hope for a way out. When we discovered the little house, it seemed like a dream. A house made of bread and sugar, inviting us to take a bite. The sweet taste gave us new strength. But then we heard a voice, a raspy whisper, and an old woman stepped out, wrinkled and gray, her eyes sharp glints of light. She grabbed Hansel and locked him in a cage, cold and hard between us. Despair overwhelmed me. Day after day, I had to feed Hansel, watching him grow weaker, powerless to help. The witch watched me like a spider with a fly caught in its web. The oven was hot and dark, and I knew it could swallow us both. One day, the witch decided she couldn't wait any longer.
Fat or thin, tomorrow you'll be eaten.
She ordered me to heat the oven, and my hands shook harder and harder. In one last moment of desperate courage, I pretended I didn't know how the oven works. She leaned forward, and before I could think, I pushed her inside. The oven door shut, and I only heard her screaming. A sound burned into my memory forever. Hansel and I found jewels in the house, but their cold gleam haunted me. We returned home, yet a shadow lingered. I will never forget that forest. Which story do you want to hear next? Like and subscribe for more horror.